My name is Jen Cushman. I'm an empathic intuitive and a energy worker, Huna, doing distance energy work. I'm also a creativity coach, which I am really looking forward to doing more of in 2025. So change work and creativity coach. And I am really jazzed for that. That's pretty exciting. I also do neuro-linguistic programming, mental emotional release, and hypnotherapy. And you guys are going to see in 2025, I'm going to be coming out with a couple of new offerings that are hypnotherapy. I was going to come out with them this year, and I just needed more time of practice. It's very important to me that whenever I get ready to do any kind of new offering to any of you, that it is proven and tested, and that I have done numbers of them. So I'm able to come out and give you the best possible service that I can. So just to let you know, I'll give you the little sneak peek of it. I am going to be doing past life regressions in 2025. I'll be talking a lot more about those in January. What is a past life regression? Why you might want to do it, and the importance of it, like how it really relates. So it's not just entertainment value to know who you were in a past life, but to know how it relates to this life, and specifically the things that you have and are dealing with in this life that you don't know where they come from. You don't know where or how to quite get rid of them because you've done all the things. And the reality is there might be a karmic pattern or a karmic imprint from a past life, a learning that you needed to learn, or a negative emotion at the time of death that has carried forward into this life as important. And once you clear it, it's amazing how it clears up in this life. So I've had plenty of experience this now, and I will be talking more about that. So I'm going to be doing those next year, and I am so excited about that. Okay, so that's just a little sneak peek, right? Now, what I want to get started and tell you about, my little surprise today is it's a little story. Okay, I love to tell stories, right? I think I've told you all, but this last year, before I left for France, I joined the Rim Country Artist. Now, that is the local artist community in Payson, Arizona. That's my local artist community. And I joined up because I'm really seeking to be part of a community again. You know, being online is fantastic. When the pandemic hit, I immediately went online with Soulstar Magic and open that business. And we are now going into next year. We will be going into 5 years right after the pandemic. So Soulstar Magic will be 5 years old in May of next year. A lot has changed since the pandemic, and now that we are all back into normal life. And one of the things I realized from the pandemic is how much I missed my in-person community. So I joined the Rim Country Artist, and I've been going to every single meeting. I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to do a volunteer position with the board. I'm not going to be on the board. I've done boards in the past, and I'm going to be doing other positions with it, something else to help them out. And I'm making sure that I am coming to every event. I have my handmade art in Noli's, our local bookstore. So on Friday night, the Rim Country Artists, they created, or they had set up a poetry night. So a winter holiday poetry night. And it was such an amazing thing to go. And the room, if you can imagine a big bookstore with a bar in the back where they can do coffees, or they have wine and beers and all that kind of stuff. And then they have a whole bunch of tables and chairs and couches. And then you can have a mic stand, and they're doing music every week, and they're having a First Fridays once a month, and all of these things are going on. So the scene is set. The Christmas tree is beautiful. We've got probably 35, 40 people that showed up from the community for the holiday night. And there was a group of people that are in one of the women's theater class at the local college that also did a small theater play at the end of it. So I got up to read a holiday poem. That was one of the things, because it was open mic night. And I did that, and I went up and I had picked a poem that I thought was funny because I thought maybe it would be okay. And I did okay. I have to tell you, it was fine. I did okay. I got some chuckles, I got some laughs. And I also stumbled a little bit over some phrases and some things. And when I went back to the table, I gave myself grace because I do that now. And I gave myself grace and said, you know what, Jen, that was okay. Like, you did it. You got up in front of a room full of people, you read poetry, you participated, you're showing the community that you are serious about being part of the Rim Country Artists, and you did it, right? And then I enjoyed listening to everybody's poems out loud, and it was really, really good. And now, this time of year, I don't know how many of you have lost people, have had people that you love transition to the other side. And this time of year, it's going to make me a little teary. This time of year can be really hard when you have a loved one who is close to you that transitioned to the other side, and the holidays are coming around, and you don't get to have the same kind of experience with them because they're no longer present on this earthly plane. You can miss them. Now, my mom and dad have been passed over for 8 years now, and I'm missing them. Now, I told you in the past that my parents come to me all the time. My dad's a dragonfly, my mom's a butterfly. They're always around me, and I don't notice them a lot. So I need to be more present to listen to them. And one of the things that happened is at the Noli's Mic Night, and I'm going to post some pictures after the Magic Monday so you can see a picture of me doing it. I may even post the poem, okay, that I read, even though the quality is not the best. So we were sitting down, everybody was enjoying it. I was feeling proud of myself for doing it, but I just was like, man, you know what I mean? It would be fun to have a chance to redo. Like, you know what I mean? Like a kid where you push that redo button and you get to go redo and you get to start all over. We went around to the round, and even though there were like 40 people there, there was really only about five people that were brave enough to stand up and read. So, or I think maybe about seven. So I was one of them. And my friend Carol Baxter, she was great. She loves to read it. She read 3 poems. And I heard my father's voice clear as day, clear as day. Now, I'm going to go back and give you just a little bit so you can imagine this. My father was from Kentucky. Susan, you know this. We've had a discussion about this. My father was from Kentucky, and he moved to Arizona, and he didn't have a Kentucky drawl any longer. And him or my mother, they lost their Kentucky drawl. And when they wanted to, they could so easily slip back into it. So you know how when you're in trouble as a kid and your parents use that full name, you know what I mean? You get it's like, whatever, you get the full name, you get the name and the middle name and the last name. And then that's your sign that's like, uh-oh, I'm really in trouble. My father didn't do that to me. My father would slip back into his Kentucky drawl. And what he would say to me is he would say, honey child. And that was my clue, my key, my anchor to click into to listen to him. Because when he said honey child, I knew something was coming, right? I knew that I was going to get reprimanded, or I'm going to get a word of wisdom, or something's going to happen. So it's clear as day while this was going on, we were on a break and everybody was getting ready to come back for the second part of it. I hear my father say, honey child, you need to do that again. And they were asking for people to come back because they didn't have enough people who are willing to do it. So he goes, honey child, you need to do that again. And this time you need to nail it, right? He goes, you are better than what you did, and wants you to get up there and show these people how well you can stand in front of a crowd of people and speak, right? So I was like, so of course I have a conversation with my dad, and quietly, and I'm like, Daddy, I don't want to do that. Like, that was enough. You know what I mean? It was kind of terrifying. I was great until everybody was up there. And once I stood up there with the mic in hand, looking out at the sea of people, I was just not as great. I was a little nervous and my voice cracked. So I was like, Daddy, I don't want to do that again. I did it once. It was good enough, right? Give myself grace. It was fine. And I heard him say, and he goes, honey child, what you fear the most is what you run toward. I'm gonna cry, right? What you fear the most is what you run toward, because it's where you have the most growth. So that's clearly what he said to me. I mean, as clear as day. It was just like when I do my readings and I'm in a session with my people, and my guides and angels are coming in with the information auditorially, not visually, auditorially, and it is clear as day. So my dad's voice, I heard it. I heard it clear as day. I heard it in his tone. I heard his reflection. So I just was like, okay, Daddy, you're right. So I went up on the break, put in my thing, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go a second round. And the facilitator, Gail, who's an amazing poet in town, he's like, yay, that's great. And I said, but I don't have a poem. And he goes, I have poems in the stocking. So I go in, I pull the poem out, and it's a Mary Oliver poem. And I don't know how many of you know Mary Oliver, but she's a gorgeous poet. Like, her words are gorgeous. She, like Robert Frost, does a lot of nature. And this one was a Winter's, I think it was a Winter's Tale or a Winter's, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was absolutely gorgeous. So the other thing I did, where I went above and beyond, than even what my father expected, I decided I was going to be vulnerable in front of the crowd. And remember, I've told you all in the past, Brene Brown writes this in her book about being brave. And it was one of my biggest takeaways in Brene Brown's book. And what she said is, everybody loves vulnerability and nobody wants to be vulnerable, right? So I have come to learn from that book that every time I am afraid to be vulnerable and I open my heart and I expand it and I allow vulnerability to happen, the most amazing things come to me. Like, the experience that I have, what is reflected back to me from other people is this beauty, because they see me being vulnerable. And rather than being judgmental, they just soften and they just open. So I went up before the crowd and I said to the crowd, and I said, okay, fun fact. Last time I came up here in front of you and I looked out the sea of faces, I was terrified. I was terrified that I was going to flub it up. I was terrified I was going to speak. And so, and of course they kind of looked at me and I said, my parents have been gone for 9 years and I miss them very much. And my father used to say to me, I didn't tell him I was an intuitive. I didn't say that my father just spoke to me, my transition father. That would be a little bit too much. That's a little bit too vulnerable. And I just said, my father used to say to me that whatever I feared, I needed to run toward, because that was going to be my biggest growth. So I told everybody and I said, so I'm standing here, I'm going to read another poem, and I am running toward you. Can you please open your arms and hold me? And it was pretty amazing because I saw some tears in people's eyes and it was very vulnerable. And then I just took a very deep breath and I beautifully read the Mary Oliver poem and I nailed it. Like, I nailed it. Like, if they could have given a standing ovation, they would have. And they didn't, because it's a local poetry slam, right? Anyway, so that's what I did. And I learned a really important lesson. And well, I reminded myself an important lesson. And this is what I want to share with you today. Whatever you fear the most in 2025 is probably the thing you need to run toward, because it is where we overcome, it's where we receive feedback. We may not do it perfectly. I did not read that first poem perfectly. I have very good visual acuity. I was able to stand up there, read, look around the room, and I could see that some people were not engaged. Like, they were listening, they were being polite, but their hearts weren't in it. They weren't being moved. And that's okay. That's fine. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just being human, right? I was just being human. I'm not a professional poet. I'm not a professional speaker yet, right? And that's who I was. And they were polite and they were fine, right? And I knew that I had a moment that I could have said that was good enough and been fine with it and enjoyed the rest of the evening. Or I could have taken it as an opportunity to use that feedback and, in a safe space, try again, get more feedback, take action again, do a do-over, get up there a second time and see where is the edge of my growth and just shift a little bit by going further. So every opportunity, I want to give you a challenge. I love to drop challenges on your lap. Every opportunity that you may have next year in 2025, if the universe gives you an opportunity and it presents something to you that you want, that is your will, your desires, your energy going out into the universe, you telling the universe, I want this, the universe bringing exactly what you want. And then your emotional baggage getting in the way, right? The fear, the negative emotions, the being afraid of judgment, the fear of speaking or standing on stage, the fear of that growth moment is just emotional baggage. And the way we build resiliency, the way we grow is that we push through that emotional baggage and we take action and we give it a shot. And if we fail forward, right? We don't fail backwards, we fail forward. And so even if I had stood on that stage the second time and I would have flubbed it up, I still would not have failed backwards. I would have failed forward. So my challenge for you in 2025, next year, is look for the opportunities where you can nail it. Look for the growth opportunities where you can either hit it and feel amazing or fail forward. And whatever you do, take the action, take it and do it, and allow for these moments of exquisiteness in your life. Okay? Okay. Now, for the surprise, I'm not going to read you the Mary Oliver poem that I did for the stand-up, but I am going to read you two Mary Oliver poems right now that I absolutely love, okay? And I think fit really well with the theme of Magic Mondays and positivity and empowerment. So how many of you guys, give me a thumbs up if you're ready for the poems, okay? And then just sit back and just relax because I just want to entertain you right now, okay? Are we ready? Are we ready to go? Okay. So I'm going to be reading. It's on my screen, you guys. I know that if you're looking, my camera's up here and I'm looking, and if you see me over to the side, it's because I'm reading. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you guys so much. Okay. So here's the first one. Mary Oliver poem. Joy is not made to be a crumb. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and often not very kind. And much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back that sometimes something happened better than all the power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyways, that's often the case. Anyways, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Okay, that's the first one. Now, the next one is The Journey. It's one of her most powerful poems. Okay, so listen to the words. Let my voice just wash over you and listen to this and hopefully be inspired the way I'm inspired by Mary Oliver. The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt that old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though the melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough and a wild night and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheet of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own. that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. Okay. And that's my Christmas gift to you. I wanted to recreate the moment on the stage as best as I could. Remember, you guys, these poems. Remember that joy is not a crumb. How do we know when we're feeling joy? When we feel love in the moment. Love in the moment is the spark of joy. Joy is not a crumb. These little moments in our life can add up to millions and millions of moments. Okay? And then also remember the season, no matter what it is, the only life you can ever save is your own. Okay? And the way to save your life is many. There's many ways to save your own life. And one of the best ways is to be at cause for your actions, to know who you are, accept responsibility for your words and actions, get the feedback, take the chances, do the action. Nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. And remember, you have one wild and precious life. So going into 2025, just think about that wild, precious life. And what do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to be? How do you authentically want to live? And then slide into 2025 as if you're already living it. Okay? Okay.